Hi, I'm Deacon Rodney again, and this is the Bible-based Bible study. I have a question for you. What does salvation look like? Does anybody know? I think some people think they do. Let's see if we can deal with that. This is a teaching moment, and I wanted to tell you this is the Bible-based Bible study, but a Bible study is no excuse for not being in a good Bible-believing, Bible-teaching church. I'm a member of New Faith Baptist Church in Madison, Illinois. The pastor there is Reverend Dr. Trinell D. Felder. He's got a wonderful preaching style, and he's got a wonderful wife that also preaches, Reverend Dr. Alexis L. Felder. Please come and visit us. We have 4 services: Saturday night at 5 o'clock, Sunday at 7:30, 9:30, and 11:30. Come on out and visit us. You'll have a good time. I guarantee it. And I want to get into this teaching moment because the Lord has been dealing with me all night. Now I know I told you I wanted to get into chapter 4, but chapter 4 is a little shift from what we've been talking about, the first 3 chapters of the book of Genesis. So now I just want to go over a few things, because do you really know what salvation looks like? I hear all kinds of things from people, and I don't like to dispute or argue the Bible, but a lot of times I just say, oh, yeah, you're gonna go to paradise, you're gonna die and go to heaven. There are some people that believe that there is no such thing as salvation. I better get everything right now because I'm dying. I'm in the process of dying. People know that they're dying. You're not gonna get out of this life alive. But let's go back to the first 2 chapters. The first 2 chapters of the book of Genesis. First of all, you should have learned, if you listened to the previous tapes, that God created the heavens and the earth. And guess what? This is heaven. You're already here. You also should have learned that Adam and Eve were in the garden. Now, the garden was a wonderful place. They had fellowship with God. They were able to walk with God. God was able to walk with them. They had dominion because God gave them dominion. They had abundance. God gave them to eat everything that was in the midst of the garden except for one thing. Okay, there was also a tree of eternal life there, which they didn't eat from. Maybe they didn't need to eat from it at that time, but they could live forever. Now, if they had eaten from that tree, because the Bible says that's why they got kicked out. Now, they had power, and they were in a place that was like paradise, in a heaven, so to speak. In fact, they were in heaven. In fact, we're still in heaven. So you can't die and go to heaven. You can tell me you're going to die and go to heaven, and I'll be kind to you and I'll agree with you, especially if you look like you're close. You get old, uh, I know you're going to die, but I know you're already where you think you're going. So why doesn't heaven work for us? Okay. Well, again, they got kicked out of the garden, and they got cursed. Eve got her curses, the serpent got his curse, and Adam got his curse. You know, man has to work for his stuff. He can't command things to happen like God. In other words, he does not have the power that God had given him initially because of his disobedience. Now, also, you know that they had incorruptible bodies. Incorruptible bodies. Eve was a beautiful woman. She had everything going on. I mean, she had this. She had the other stuff, and she would say, "Adam, what are you thinking about?" And Adam would say, "I'm thinking about you." "Why are you thinking about me, Adam?" "Baby, because you looking good." "Adam, do I really look that good?" "Come over here, baby. Let me show you how good you look to me. Come here." So here you had this wonderful relationship with this wonderful couple who would never be corrupted. But now something happens that changes their whole life. They get kicked out of the garden. They start to die. He sees changes in her body. He sees that she's starting to gain weight. She's starting to get a little flabby on him, and he's starting to decompose. Okay, even though it might be a 900-year process for Adam himself to not, he lived 930 years, but for him to decompose over 900 years, that was nothing like eternity that they were going to be perfect for. Now they're kicked out of the garden, and the eyes of them are both open, and they see the changes in their body. Okay? Now, a lot of you cannot imagine those changes being that dynamic to them. But if you consider having a skin that's going to last forever, and then you start seeing time creep in and take control over it. Now, they had dominion over everything. They even had dominion over time. The time was only put there for the seasons to constitute when to plant, when to grow. These are things that Adam was responsible for. But now, time has dominion over them, and they see themselves subjected to time. And in time, they would be no more. And that's what we experience right here today. We experience that, and people try to accumulate as much as they can. They try and do everything that they can, and they try to do things that they have a limited time to do. They set goals, and some of them don't meet those goals. But consider this, even if you meet those goals, you're still going to die. You're going to die unless you have salvation. So what does salvation look like? Okay? One of the things that they got, one of the things that Adam and Eve got, when they got this knowledge from this tree with the knowledge of good and evil, they got worried. Because the first thing they tell you is when their eyes were open, they started seeing their bodies change. That's why they wanted to cover up and hide. So here they are. They want to cover up. They want to hide from God. Now, like I said, you're in heaven. But we have a lot of confusion in heaven. We have all types of different religions, and people are trying to do every different kind of thing to get salvation. They're even killing other people because they're saying, well, you're not doing it right, or you're not serving God right. But God can take care of himself. He can. Your concern is you're trying to do something to try and get it right, but you don't even know if you're doing the right thing. Think about it. Think about it. There's a concern today about people building a mosque near ground zero. That's ridiculous. That should not even be a concern. That's a small thing, a petty thing. Is that going to help you with your salvation? Or is that going to help you with some type of revenge? And what is revenge? Is that a good thing? Or is it an evil thing? Some type of retaliation? Okay, so you have hurricanes. You have tsunamis. You have other things that happen here on earth. You have death. You have dying. You have confusion. You have a corrupted body now. Your body is corruptible, and you're dying. You know this. Wouldn't it be nice if you could go back to the Garden of Eden? If you could take dominion over time, when you take from that tree of eternal life and eat and restore yourself to live forever, think about that. Is that salvation? Or maybe you don't like the way the place looks. Guess what? You can control that too. Remember, when there was a storm and Jesus was with his disciples, the disciples were worried Jesus would sleep. And then they were so worried, they woke him up. And they said, Master, don't you care that we might perish? Jesus wasn't worried about perishing there. He wasn't worried. He stood up and he said, Peace, be still. And his disciples looked at him, they looked at each other and said, What manner of man is this? He commands even the heavens, the rain, and the wind. Peace be still. He had the ability to subdue, the ability we were given when we were put originally in the Garden of Eden. Peace be still. Speak things into existence. Life and death are in the power of the tongue. Still. That's why you're told not to curse anybody. But life and death are in the power of the tongue. Wouldn't it be good to have that kind of power? To turn things right side up, to have your life restored, to have time to do anything. Time to do anything, and still more time. The woman that you marry, if she looks just like she looked 50 million years ago when you looked at her and said, I do, you probably still do, and do more and more and more. You got time now. What does salvation look like? We're controlled by everything. We're controlled by time because we lost our dominion. Also, something interesting. God put on the east side of the Garden of Eden to keep us out once we were kicked out, cherubim and the flaming sword that swings back and forth. I can't imagine how it looks, but something tells me that flaming sword is misinformation. We're thinking about going to heaven, maybe reaching another planet, maybe walking on clouds. This is misinformation. Read the first 3 chapters, view the tapes, pay particular attention to the fact that God created the heavens and the earth. Pay particular attention to the fact that you had all of this vast abundance. I want to thank you for joining me today here at the Bible-based Bible study, and I pray that you come back and join me to start chapter 4 of the book of Genesis. We're going to get into rules to live by in chapter 4 of the book of Genesis. Please join me. Meanwhile, I want you to try and support this ministry. Send us a letter, a small donation to Bible-based Bible study. That's Bible-based Bible study. That's Post Office Box 1839, Madison, that's Mattsson, Illinois. The zip is 60443-1839. I'm Deacon Rodney. I thank you for joining me. I look forward to seeing you again on the Bible-based Bible study. I hope that this has been a blessing to you.